Hello and welcome everyone to Hidden Existence. Tonight my guests are Carl and Rachel Gautreaux from Louisiana, who've had ongoing stuff and going, what's the word, Carl?
Experiences? Activity?
Activity, that's the word I was looking for. Ongoing activity for quite a while. We talk a lot, don't we? And we'll start back with a year ago when, and this is just for people who are new here and don't know your story. I'm sure lots of people in the chat tonight, people watching will know and know a lot about your story, but it started with you finding a print in your yard.
Yeah, that one was actually on the cement. But we went back and we found like 4 or 5 more that were in the yard. That's basically what got everything started right there. That one footprint basically changed our world. I mean,
yeah. Now that's not water. That's some sort of oil, some sort of wasn't it?
Yeah. From what everybody says, their skin is real oily, and we just think that's residue from the actual footprint itself. I mean,
and it stayed on the concrete for a couple of weeks.
Right. Okay. So, how many more did you find then? You found other stuff in the grass, other prints in the grass.
Yeah, we found, like I said, I think a total of 5. See, that one was in the leaves. I didn't even see it. I had to scoop out the leaves. But yeah, we found several, like 4 to 5 more 17-inch footprints. You can see that one clearly. You can see the toes on that one. I mean,
yeah,
that one's pretty obvious. I mean, and nobody in my family has a 17-inch foot. I mean, so they're coming from somewhere.
Yeah. And you took some casts as well. Yeah, I actually probably haven't downloaded the best photo there, but
no. But hey, that was our first. We didn't know anything about this. I mean, so Rachel wanted to cast one. I said, okay. I Googled it. We went to the hardware store, got the stuff, tried to cast it, and it didn't really come out great. But as you can see, Rachel's holding that tape measure. That's 2.5 inches into the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, so look at where the weight is on the center of that foot.
Yeah, it's thick, isn't it? It's
yes. That's a human's foot is not like that. I mean, our weight is more towards the front.
Yeah.
So that's something interesting there. I mean, and the one that blows my mind out of all this evidence that we have, I'm gonna call it, that footprint on the cement. I mean, I've never really seen any other. Somebody might have one. I mean, a footprint on the cement, but that clear and that, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
It smelled like urine.
Yeah, you say, yeah. There was an odor coming off it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens from finding those prints to the suddenly there's activity going on over the fence?
Well, it kind of got started before we even found that print, with the dog food missing. And I guess we were just kind of dumb. We didn't realize the signs. Rachel was putting out bird feeders every night full of bird seeds, and they would be empty. And they have screw-on tops. So, I mean, I guess we were feeding them and really didn't even realize it. And, I found that footprint, got in touch with Carrie Arnold, started sending him some pictures, and, me and him started, going back and forth, and we started, just like he said, we started working backwards from there. And if anybody's seen the Bigfoot Odyssey episode, I mean, and then, we didn't have anything then. I don't even think, did we have it? Yeah, we had a nanny cam. Carrie told us to put up a nanny cam. It's cheap. It's easy to do. And we caught some amazing stuff on that. Now we purchased about a $500 camera now. And so it's pretty clear, and, we leave it to the viewer to decide. We just put the videos up and say, hey, look, this is what happened.
Yeah, and it's picked stuff up, hasn't it? And a few people like Bigfoot Tony and here's the other guy who've done breakdown of the video. Are you?
Enigma's Labyrinth is the name of his channel. He actually did a little breakdown on one of our videos and found a face basically peeking. Well, it wasn't peeking behind the tree. It was out away from the tree, but you can see the hand on the fence. And right before that, something hits the house. Don't know what it is. I think it was a rock. Not sure, but something makes a bang and all the.
You're breaking up. I don't know what's going on, but you.
I guess lucky. Just a picture's not good enough. We need some type of movement, and we're lucky that we do. And I think one of the biggest things about our videos are that we have dogs, and you can see how these dogs react. And dogs can't lie. You know, people can come on here and tell all the lies they want, but dogs cannot lie. So I've had several people who train dogs, work with dogs, say those dogs are not acting normal. And you can see it on the videos. I mean,
yeah, I mean, if anyone goes and checks out Carl's channel, I'll put the link in the description, and also the link for the Bigfoot Odyssey documentary that Kerry did on them. There's a backstory to it all. There's a build-up. It's over 11 months longer this has been going on for. And initially the dogs are barking because there's something going on behind the fence. And then over the months you see a change in them, don't you? Like they're either recognizing what it is that's coming round, but one of them seems almost quite afraid of it now.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, you know, it's kind of strange because they would run to the fence, almost like it was a old friend or somebody that they knew. They would bark at first, but once they got to the fence, it was almost like they were kind of fascinated, you know, and they seem, I don't know why, but Bella doesn't seem to be bothered by them as much as Tori. Now, our big dog Tori, she won't even go outside anymore, especially at night. We have to almost drag her outside, and that's, I don't know what happened there. You know, somebody suggested maybe there's a new group or a new member. Because she would give them hell. I mean, you can go and watch those videos. Whatever was coming to that fence, she would go and give them hell, and almost like kept Bella away from the fence. But now it's almost the opposite. I mean, she won't even go outside.
So you've got your house, and then how far from your house to that fence is that?
From that fence, and it's kind of distorted. You know, on the video, it's probably about 35 yards probably to that fence.
And then you've got a 6-foot fence, and then your neighbour's behind you with a same 35-yard garden.
Probably, so maybe a little bit closer from the back side of the house, because it kind of makes an L shape, and it kind of, you know, I'd say from my fence to the closest part of their house is maybe 20 feet at that. You know, it's hard to judge. Never Carrie's been in their backyard, but I told Carrie, I said, no, man, I'm not just walking in somebody's backyard. You don't do that here, you know?
Yeah.
But
exactly. So I'm just thinking, if we played the Bigfoot Tony's with the head popping up, whatever this is over 6 foot tall. And
well, keep in mind now, it's 6-foot fence, but it's 2 inches off the ground. So anything at the top of that fence is 6 foot too. So
yeah, you've been breaking up, Carl. If you do it again, we'll just have to we'll see what happens anyway. But let me just play this, guys. That's something with their eyes opening, isn't it?
Yeah, and it kind of looks like it's more like kind of looking to, you know, to the side a little bit because one eye looks bigger than the other. Now, what is that? I mean, you've seen it. Everybody's watching it just like we are. What is that?
Yeah. Oh, what's playing now? Sorry, I've got another one playing. I don't know, but which one should we play next?
Man, I tell you what, the one of the most interesting ones to me is the where the dogs run to the fence and they don't make a sound and they're just looking, and the guy reverses the polarity on it. You see that big 8 or 9 foot figure standing behind that little bush trying to hide. I mean, but he's not doing too good of a job.
Yeah.
Is it Bigfoot standing?
I think it's actually named Bigfoot Standing Behind Fence Enhanced Video. Simple.
Okay.
At 222.
And I think it's that Rachel said it's at 222. It's actually where the breakdown part starts.
Okay. I should be a bit more organised than this because we have been like just talking about this for the last hour.
Yeah, I mean,
still never got this. Bigfoot standing behind the fence. Yeah.
Yes.
What did you say? At where?
222.
222.
Okay, got it. Yeah. You can see the dogs know there's something there, and they're just staring at it now. Whatever that is tall.
Yes.
Or something. I don't know.
Well, the guy who originally did the video, he works for ESPN and he works for NASCAR, and he's a videographer. So that's his job. And he estimated whatever that is standing there. Now it could be standing on something, but if it's just standing flat on the ground, it's 8 or 9 feet tall. So
that's
what is it? I have no idea. I mean,
that's your fence.
Yeah.
You can see where the fence line is just on the edge there, but there's something clearly there in the middle of those feeders.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, and like I said, it speaks for itself. I mean, I don't know, you know, people want evidence and we just put it up, and whatever you think, that's your opinion. You know, I mean, I pretty much have my own opinion about it, but you know, you might think we're absolute bat crazy, you know?
Well, I don't.
No, I know you don't, because you know too much.
Yeah, it's a puzzle, isn't it? But what makes it even more puzzling is when you got in touch with Jill, and they started looking at what you'd got, and suddenly we're looking at something different now, possibly something maybe paranormal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she kind of picked up on it right away. You know, she even picked up on my, I never told the story about my dad living back there, but he lived with us in that. That's why the reason we built that little apartment. He had a stroke and my mom had passed away and he was living back there. And like I said, he used to tell us all the time, hey, did y'all come knock on my door at 3 o'clock in the morning? Like, no, Dad. But anyway, I just sent her a couple of videos just to see. Never said anything about my dad passing away. And she's like, well, Carl, who's the guy in your backyard? I said, well, what do you mean? Who's the guy in my backyard? She said, there's a man in your backyard. And she described him to a T. I said, well, wait. She said, send me a picture of your dad. I told her my dad had passed away a couple of months ago. She said, send me a picture of your dad. I said, okay, I'll send it. And she said, Carl, this is him. This is who I'm seeing in your backyard. Now, how she picked up on that just over a video, because she didn't know that my dad had passed away. I mean, so that is kind of scary and eerie, I guess, maybe in itself. I don't know. I mean, it's just
yeah.
His name is what got me. She kept saying, he keeps telling me nobody calls me by my name. His name was Carol. And she said nobody, she just kept repeating it over and over. Don't call me by my name. Don't call me by my name. And wow. She finally said, who's Pop? And that's what everybody called him. Pop.
Yeah, that's.
Wow. It's not only that, she picked up the whole thing about that video that I'm going to play in a minute is, for me, it's that howling noise. It's like, what is making that noise?
And people have suggested, coyotes, man, anything, bear. I mean, but
let's see what anyone who's in the chat thinks. You can hear the dogs whimpering. You can hear the dogs almost like trying to get the hell out of there, aren't they? I mean, they're frightened. They're scared. That howling is not the dog.
Well, before you play it, we were actually awake when this happened. When this thing starts going off, it woke us up. So I'm standing right here by my bedroom window, looking out my window. Now I can't see anything except Bella right here, and she'll be the one yipping, because Tori, you can see on the video, she never makes a sound. I'm standing by this window. The window is rattling and it's thumping. It feels like it's thumping me in the chest, like something's hitting me in the chest. So don't know. Crazy stuff, man. That's all I can say about it.
And something at the very beginning sounds like a horse, doesn't it? Or something like that.
Which we have heard before, because a lot of people who have encounters with these things said, man, I thought that's what I heard, a horse coming through the woods. And like, there's no horses in these woods. So here again, play it.
Yeah, we'll play it. There's the howling, and then it goes slow down. There's some instructions on the screen for you to look at, and you'll see that things are moving. And then, well, we'll play it. It's strange, that's for sure. Okay, here we go.
Now this is a really weird part.
Yeah. Whatever that flash is. That's some sort of mass moving.
Exactly. Now, is that my dad howling, or what is that, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
That howling, the dog's crying, it's just too much to hear, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was actually okay, what's moving those pants? It's dead calm, no breeze whatsoever. But when this thing goes off, these pants start swinging. So is that sound waves? If that was rattling the windows and hitting me in the chest? I mean, there it is.
Arizona's watch, he thinks they're howling to mess with the dogs. Are they playing in a friendly way, Kevin, or are they trying to wind the dogs up, do you think? Because the dogs have changed completely from when this all started to now. It's they're not liking it anymore, are they?
No, not at all. I mean, it's like they don't. Now, like I said, Bella still, you know, she's a firecracker. She has some melon wine in her, so she's she'll, like I said, she'll run through flames to get to a squirrel. But Tori, can't get outside. I mean, anymore. And
he says it's in a friendly way. Thinks it's in a friendly way, but really the dogs are not. Dogs don't seem that happy, do they?
Well, no, and you know what brought this on? That's, you know, if it did happen, what happened? Because I mean, as far as I can tell, going back before this even started, they were laying down sleeping underneath the, you know, in their kennels underneath the patio, and you can see in the video Tori takes off like she usually does, and when this thing starts howling, she just stops in her tracks, like, hey, I think I'm messing something with bigger than me, and I don't think I can deal with this. And that's Bella, a little dog, a smaller dog, yipping underneath the patio. Because I don't know if it's hurting her ears or she's just scared as hell or what. I mean, I was, believe me when I tell you, I was inside the house and I was pretty jacked up.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, what's happening now with this mist that you're seeing?
I'm gonna let Rachel explain that because I don't.
I have no idea. We have never seen it before, and we haven't seen it since. It happened, what, a couple of weeks in a row for a couple of nights, and it just looks like a mist kind of waving up in the trees, and it dissipates. One of them actually looks like it's forms to the shape of a person, but it's in the trees. It's not a fireplace. It wasn't cold. I have no clue. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it's not close enough to a house to be like a dryer vent. No. Keep in mind now, it's like 74, 72 degrees and it's raining. Nobody's barbecuing at 2:30 in the morning or whatever time it was. I mean, so we don't know. I want to answer this. If you can maybe back up, Chuck Hunter, Carl, do any of your neighbors hear or see anything? Chuck, we've not only talked to our neighbors, we've played them the videos and they don't hear anything. Well, they hear stuff. They hear banging, and which we always did ever since we lived here. But we always thought, hey, that's the crazy neighbors. It's the kids, you know, playing around. And the most interesting thing was that when I would come home from work, Rachel would tell me all the time, Carl, I think there's somebody in the attic walking around. I'm like, Rachel, you got to be kidding me. It's July. It's 800 degrees in that attic. Nobody could survive in that attic for more than 10 minutes. But I'd go up and I'd check, and this would happen at night too. Sometimes when I'd go out, you know, maybe drink a few beers with the boys and come back, you know, she said, Carl, I think there's somebody in the attic. Like, I'd go check it out. Nothing. I mean, so I heard of them running on people's roofs, getting on people's roofs. And matter of fact, we have a video that from Bigfoot Odyssey where we think one is on our neighbor's roof that throws that big 4-pound chunk of concrete and hits our house. So
yeah. So, but the neighbors, yeah, they're not hearing anything, they're not seeing anything, they're not admitting anything anyway.
Not that they admit, you know what I'm saying? They could be seeing it too, because we have one strange. That's Tori inside protecting the house. She should be outside protecting the house. No, but we have one strange video, like at 2:30 on a Wednesday night. Somebody, you can tell it's a high-powered pistol. They fire off 4 shots, just bam, 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 in the middle of a subdivision. Now, what the hell were they shooting at? Could have been a coyote. I don't know, but that's pretty risky to shoot at a coyote in a neighborhood. You don't know what you're going to hit or what you're not going to hit. And, you know, we have a subdivision app. Rachel goes on and says, hey, was anybody shooting? Of course, nobody's going to admit to it. I mean, you know, no ambulances, no sirens, anything. So one lady came back and said, what was that video you showed? I think it might have been the Howling video. Rachel put on the subdivision app, said, hey, does anybody know what this is? And people came back and said, oh, that's our coyotes and stuff like that. And one lady came back and said, my son, which I think is about 5 or 6, thinks it's a Bigfoot. Now, why he would have said that, and Rachel tried to get in touch with her again, but she never did answer her. Why would this little boy come up with, unless he was watching Finding Bigfoot, or, you know, I mean, I really don't know. It's very interesting that a kid would come and say, because, you know, they say they like to peek in kids' windows. So
yeah, it's a possibility, isn't it?
Exactly.
Now, I don't know if you watched last week's show with Arizona Swatch and his friend Chuck and Scott, and they're experiencing a different side to stuff. Kevin would like to come on, actually. Are you up for us inviting Kevin on? And he might be able to give you his perspective of that mist, what he's actually calling it fog.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Because you actually wanted this, didn't you, where we can chat with other people about what they think.
Sure, bring him on. I mean, you know,
just gonna get his remember his email address. I do know it.
Oh, you have to close that door. She's gonna keep barking.
Probably set mine off in a minute.
Yeah. Well, I remember one show you played that Howling video, and the lady responds, said, "Oh my God, my dogs are going nuts."
Yeah, it's hard to listen to, actually. They seem,
the dog, especially Bella, which Tori, you can watch her the whole video. She never makes a sound. Poor Bella, that's the one doing the yipping, and you know, it must be hurting her ears, or it's interfering with her some kind of way, because it was hitting me. Like I said, I'm in the damn window watching it. The window's rattling and it's thumping, like a thumping sensation in my chest. That's how strong it was.
Yeah. Now, go on.
No, I've never. First of all, coyotes don't make that type of sound. Anybody can Google to coyotes. It's more like a dog howling sound. So I don't know what would be that powerful to make a pair of blue jeans hanging on a rope to move, but hey.
I see Andy going fishing's asked if we saw the big dude
In the video. Yes, Andy, I did see him. Yes. He moves 2 or 3 times in that video. He goes behind the shed and actually comes back out, and yeah, that's the big boy I think she just showed. That's on that enhanced video where the dogs are just standing there mystified looking at whatever it is.
Marianne Carl, have you experienced any mind speak?
No, and I never have really given them a chance, to be honest with you. But I will say this: I heard on your last show, the gentleman you had on every night about, what was it, 7:30. I'd be on my computer, have my headphones on, listening to music, and I would feel from behind, almost like it was coming from this window, would I feel almost like a gust of air. And I thought it was the air conditioner coming on, but we have like these palm fronds on top of our TV armoire. And whenever the air conditioner comes on, you can just simply look up and see. Well, that went on for about a week. And then one day I'm just listening to music like I always do. And it felt like a spider had fell from the roof, from the ceiling, and fell in my head and was running around in my hair, almost like a tingling sensation. Then it started going down like my body.
Right.
And I had no idea. I got up, I freaked out.
Up.
Got Rachel, oh my God, I got a spider on me. Get it off. And there was no spider. So.
Wow.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Yeah, I like that story you were just talking about, feeling like a spider fell on you and something messing with your hair. There's 99.99999% chance they were actually touching you.
Maybe so. I mean,
well, I have a lot of stuff like that happen. Sometimes it's a brush right behind the ear or a touch on the shoulder. Or like you said, the feeling like there's something in your hair, and you look around and there's nothing around in the area, so it leads me to believe that that when that's happening, they're actually touching you.
Now, I'll tell you one interesting story. I don't know if you saw the pictures that Daniela had put up. So I'm laying right here behind me in my bed one night. It was on the weekend, probably 11:30. Okay, I hear, and the only way I can explain it is a metallic whistle. And we hear them all the time. We have them recorded. That's as far as my vocabulary goes. It's a metallic whistle. So I hear this, okay? And it's like something was drawing me out there. It's like, man, I really don't want to go out there, but it's almost like something, like I said, something was drawing me out there. I got to go. Mm-hmm. So Kerry Arnold told me in the beginning, he said, don't let them know that you're onto them, because that's when things change. So I said, well, let me go act like I'm putting dog food in the bowl. That's a normal routine for me, but I mean, not that late, but they know I'll go feed the dog. So I walked out, put a couple of, just to clink, 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 so they get the idea. And I had my cell phone, tucked in my side. I had the camera reversed with no flash. So I could feel something over in that corner. I could feel something, like something was over there watching me. So I just took a couple of pictures, blew them up, sent them to Carrie. And Carrie's like, oh my God, I think you got one. I think you actually got one on camera or cell phone. And that's the pictures that she showed earlier. I don't know if you saw them or not.
Yeah, I did. It depends on, what you're wanting to get out of this. One of the things that I would suggest, if you're not worried about them, and you get another situation like where you're drawn out there, they're wanting to communicate. They're wanting to communicate with you. Just go out there, tell them, I know you're here. My name is, and introduce yourself, and just talk to them for a few minutes and see what happens.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm not even gonna lie. These things scare the hell out of me. And especially if you've seen video in my backyard, you see all the blind corners that we do have. So something could easily hide. You got to think about being ambushed, and I guess I could walk out just right outside my door where, I could. And we did do a live video that's on my channel where we ask questions. And you're exactly 100% right about when you ask a question and the answer is no, they won't say anything. When we ask them, hey, are you here? Can you make a sound? They would knock. And anybody can go listen to that. I mean, that's on my channel. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like to think that I'm the brave one out of the two of us.
yeah, you are.
So I recently put some pine shavings all over the yard because the dogs, it's a muddy mess when it rains. So I worked into the night, the first night, putting them down. It got dark and I got between the apartment and our house. And when I tell you it is pitch black back there, you cannot see, I couldn't even see the fence. And I got to that edge and I just looked over and this feeling came over me. I was like, oh, hell no, I'm going in. And I hauled tail inside and I did not finish for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I get all that. I understand that, you know, when I first started doing this a couple of years ago, I was not, I was not in a frame of mind that there was a paranormal or supernatural or however you want to describe it.
Yeah.
I like to more refer to it as more of a quantum ability, you know, because stuff they're doing is outside of natural physics and more into, you know, what can be defined in the quantum world. Excuse me. You know, we as, you know, as humans, as people, you know, we've been programmed since birth that everything that goes bump in the night is scary and dangerous. And, you know, and I'm not going to say there isn't stuff out there that isn't scary and dangerous. And, you know, and I've had a couple experiences out there where, you know, it scared the hell out of me because it was something they did that I was absolutely not prepared for, you know, mentally. And, you know, now, you know, I don't think that particular type of a situation would terrify me like it did that, you know, during this incident. But, you know, it's what I try to explain to people is, you know, if they're around and you're having interactions, you don't need to fear them. My personal opinion, because of my personal experiences. If they're wanting to, you know, they're trying to communicate with you, they're trying to get your attention. Hey, we're here. More than likely, they're seeing something in the both of you that they're attracted to. That there's something about the two of you. You know, something about you know who you are inside, not who you reflect to that, you know,
Right.
Everybody else in the world sees, but, you know, who you are as a person, you know, deep down inside. And I firmly believe that, you know, that they can sense that, they can see that, they can feel that. And, you know, they'll try and communicate with you. You know, if it was something, you know, where, you know, you were going out in the backyard and you were worried about getting jumped or something, you know, they're not just out at nighttime, they're out during the daytime too. And, you know, it could be, you know, you could have one standing, you know, 2 feet away from you and you would never know he was there.
Well, the one I actually did see was in the daytime and it was running. And that in itself is a weird circumstance, just how I happened to see it, because it was because of an automobile accident. Because I didn't take my normal route home. There was an automobile accident. I had to go around by the backside of this coulee. And if it wouldn't have ran in that drainage pipe, I'd have hit it. I'd have hit it dead. And this thing was moving about 30, 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It was moving very fast. Well, I'm the one, and I think you're dead on with that, because I'm the one last week, I don't know if you remember, asked if any of y'all play any musical instruments or
Okay,
paint.
yeah.
Well, see, because I play guitar, and me and Danielle is working on a theory that anybody who plays any kind of musical instrument or has any kind of talent like that, drawing, painting, whatever, writing, so for some reason it's not they're attracted to the music. I think they're attracted to the person. That's just what I think.
And that could very well be, you know, none of us really have the slightest idea why they pick a certain person to interact with. myself included, I've over and over and over, why me? And, an interesting thing that happened just recently, here at the house, during a dream, I was sitting back up at my campsite in this dream with Chuck, and this old one walks up. And when I say old, this guy looked like he was several hundred years old. I'm kind of refer to him as Mr. Miyagi, because that's kind of how he was just so gentle. And there was this big conversation going on between Chuck and myself and Mr. Miyagi. But I don't remember any of that until he said, well, I'm going to leave. And I said, wait, I have a few questions. But I want to remember this. And he says, okay, what's your questions? And of course, my first question is, why me? And, the strangest thing that happened is, like, he shows me this 3-dimensional something in my brain. I don't want to say it was like, what are they? A hologram. Mm-hmm. Something similar to that. And he points at something, in the brain, which is close to the pineal gland, but I don't think that's what he was pointing at. And he gave this big, elaborate name for it. He said, because you're awake. Yeah, and I just,
Well, me and Rachel, we were listening to the show last week with you guys on it, and we were amazed at some of the things that you were saying was like 100% dead on what we see and what we feel and what we smell here. I mean, it was almost eerie. I mean, I told that to Rachel. I said, man, these guys, I don't know exactly what they're experiencing, because I haven't been out there with them, but whatever's going on with these old boys is going on with us.
Yeah.
It was too accurate.
Can I just get this question in? I've Chuck Hunter. Carl, is the subdivision around cemeteries or Native American lands? And to you, Kevin, is that going to really make a difference? What land you're on?
No, I have several different areas that I go to. A couple of them are fairly close to each other, like within about a mile or two, and it's the same clan that I'm dealing with in this location. My primary location that got shut down by the Forest Service is about 5 miles away from there. That was a different clan, but they intermingle. The other place that I go to that we call Crazy Town, that's probably about 75 miles away, and that's there's 2, maybe 3 different family groups there that we deal with in that particular area. As far as native lands, the Apache, everywhere we're at was where the Apache Indian lived, up until 100 years ago or so.
What about you? Sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what about you? Because there was something connected to that horse we could hear. Actually, some history about horses, isn't there?
The interesting part about it is we live on a ridge, which is basically an old earthquake fault. So, but where we live used to be an old plantation, a huge old plantation. And this is where they kept the horses. They call it the horse farm. So in the beginning of that video, you almost, to me, sounds like what you hear a strange, like almost like a horse whinnying. And we have no horses around here whatsoever. So I don't know. And
Jill picked up on that too. The energy of Indians and white men having a fight here on this land.
Yeah, I forgot about that. She said there was some kind of battle between Native Americans and Americans, or settlers here. Something happened. I mean,
yeah. Okay. Sorry. there was just a few questions just while we were going through. I think I don't think that's going to happen, is it? Can you have the electric company put a pole with security light between the two houses?
Not a yard.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would probably be in somebody's yard, but and this is the thing with it. Okay, everybody, and look, everybody has great ideas, like putting up mirrors and doing this and trying this, but people don't understand. Like, you can go watch the videos. When we change something, they do not like it. We may be living on top of where they live. So we respect the fact that, hey, they could have lived here at one time. So when we change one simple thing, they get agitated, they throw rocks. So what if I go put up a mirror and they don't like it? Now, everything's cool now, except they've broken a few fence boards and some possums and squirrels and things like that. What if this sets them off and they go, ape shizzle on us and start ripping off the back of the door and coming in the house and say, hey, partner, why'd you put up a mirror? Why are you trying to catch us? And everybody says, put up more cameras, put up more cameras. No, we got enough cameras. I don't have to prove anything to anybody.
Yeah.
I know,
100% what I saw.
yeah.
That's it.
And you have to live there.
Yes, exactly.
It's not like you're going out into the woods 50 miles away from your house. This is literally in your backyard. So,
yes.
You want to tread with caution, don't you? You just don't want to,
No, I mean, people, people want to do wood knocks, whoops, howls. What does that mean to them? I mean, is that might be taken as, hey, come here, big boy, I want to whip your butt. And I'm not up to the task, I'm telling you, because whatever was behind that fence, 8 to 9 foot, drive me in the ground 10 foot deep. I mean, I'm not messing with that. And I don't have enough firepower in this house. And if you do, you see one, there's 2 or 3 you don't see. So you got to deal with that. Maybe. Yeah, exactly. So good luck to you if you think you're going to kill one. You better be prepared. You probably never make it out alive, but hey.
Yeah, and it's about showing respect, because, like we were talking on the show, we really don't have an idea how long they live. There's some people that say that they have 3 times the lifespan as us. The one I saw on this screen, it was definitely, I would say probably 300-400 years old, but then again, I don't know. They were here long before the Anglo-Saxon were here.
Oh,
yeah. So they seen everything about us. They know everything about us, and and in general, they don't want anything to do with us because they know we're basically a bunch of jerks. I could use other words that I would normally use, but I'm not going to on the air. But when I go out, I go out as a guest, not an intruder. That's why I don't run. I don't put up cameras. The only technology I use is an audio recorder, and I've got some phenomenal stuff recorded, and I've only been through maybe a 16th of all the audio that I've got. But in March of 2018, I got them speaking for the first time, and I think Daniela played it on the researchers report the first time I was on. But what it sounds like he's saying is hick to sue. And then there was this metallic noise afterwards. And I thought he was messing with something I had left out on a metal table, which is where my audio recorder was. And so I was going with that. Junior picked something up and Daddy said, hey, put that down. And then he put it back down. But that wasn't the case, because I tried doing, recreations with, setting different things down on that metal table, completely different sound, and then different audio clips that I got of them speaking. Has got me to the conclusion that some of when they're speaking, they have clicks and pops in it, kind of like an Aborigine does. And so on this first audio was hick to sush, but it was this metallic sounding click. And, you know, so when I have reproduced or attempted to reproduce that last part that sounded like a metallic click, lo and behold, my voice almost sounded metallic on that audio recording, which was really weird.
Yes.
But I couldn't come anywhere close to, you know, reproducing, you know, what he had said. You know, when I first started out, I was setting up trap cameras and, you know, walking around with GoPros and all that stuff, and they just didn't seem to like it. You know, the interactions. You know, when I was doing that stuff, the interactions, you know, they went down almost to nothing. And so when I put that stuff away, then the interactions started, and, you know, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out that, you know, they don't like this, you know, and if you start looking at, you know, what's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, but yet you got all these people going out doing the same thing over and over again, pounding on trees and setting cameras and all this stuff, and they're expecting something different to happen for them, you know. You know, not to say that they can't be caught on a trail camera or, you know, caught on video, because they have been. And but that's not my goal. My goal is you know, I want to know who they are. I want to get to know them. I want to earn their trust, and I can't do that when I'm running around the forest acting like the paparazzi.
Right. Hey, Daniela, can you pull this question up? I would like him to answer it, because I think that's originally what he brought him into the conversation. This lady, Nancy Calm.
About the mix, the fog.
Yeah, about the smoke and the mist. What is that about?
You know, and I definitely wanted to address that. You know, when I was sitting at my primary location, I called Squatch Camp, and Chuck and I were sitting there, and this was our very first trip out, and I looked at him, and it was right after the sunset, so it was still kind of a little bit light out. But it was like a fog bank was rolling in. And I looked at him, I said, "Do you see this?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do." Conditions absolutely were not there for fog. I mean, we don't get a lot of fog. You know, I'm at a high enough altitude up there that, you know, when storms come in and stuff like that, I will be inside the clouds, you know, because I'm, you know, 7,600 feet. And, you know, in central Arizona, what's called the Mogollon Rim, it's about a 1,800 foot uprise, you know, so it goes from about, you know, 5,800 feet altitude straight up to you know, just over 7,000 feet. And you know, so when the storms come in, of course the clouds, you know, they'll drift over that, and that's pretty interesting. But this fog, no, I don't have the slightest idea what it is, but I see it all the time, and I, you know,
Let's go.
Hundreds of times I've seen it.
Let's go back to the howling and the dogs. What did you think of the howling?
I think that's just juveniles. You know, they do stuff for fun. You know, just like human kids. You know, let's go poke the dog. Let's go bother the dog on the other side of the fence. You know, it's that simple. I think that's what they were doing.
So what do you make of my big dog not even wanting to go outside anymore? Do you think there's a new member of the group, or maybe one of those juveniles have grown up and they don't like the big dog? I mean, what's going on there, man? Because she won't even go outside.
Yeah, I think it's just a case that, you know, maybe the dog was out in the yard, you know, doing its thing, wandering around, heard something, stopped, looked over, and sees an 8, 9, 10 footer standing there, scared the hell out of the dog, and the dog doesn't want nothing to do with it anymore.
Right.
You know, it's that simple. You know, dogs can get terrified just like we can. And
like you said, they're having fun doesn't mean to say the dogs are having fun.
Yeah, it doesn't mean the dogs are having fun. It just means, you know, and the juveniles like to do stuff like that. You know, I have what I call a watcher, one that's always keeping an eye on me when I'm out there. I don't, you know, I've seen him once. But I hear him all the time. You know, if I'm out walking around through the forest, you know, he'll do a branch break or something to let me know he's around. But you know, they have a sense of humor. I call it, I was out playing chase with them. I was sitting in my camp about 10 o'clock in the morning, really loud branch break, and I just kind of ignored it. Then I got another one. I was like, all right, I'm coming over there. So I got up and I walked over there. It was probably about 60, 70 yards away. And I got over there, absolutely nothing, you know, and I could pretty much pinpoint where the branch, where the break came from. And I looked all over that area and there was just absolutely nothing broken. And then about another 65, 75 yards away, another break. And so I go over there. And so it turned into a game that is like, you know, running me all over the forest. And I got to the point where it's like, well, I got to go back to camp. I'm hungry. You know, I don't have much water with me. So I'm going back to camp. And instead of going around this draw, I went down through it. And, you know, it wasn't anything, you know, as far as severe terrain or anything like that. You know, so I just started going down it, you know, with the heavy pine needles. I slipped and landed on my butt. And as soon as that happened, I hear, oh, you know,
laughing at you, huh?
Yeah. And that's why I said, what, you're laughing at me now? You know, so they do have a sense of humor, and, you know, they do things, you know, to amuse themselves. You know, I think a lot of, you know, like a lot of when they're tossing pebbles or pine cones or sticks and stuff like that, I think it's just the younger ones, you know, trying to get a rise out of you.
Well, you know, and that's interesting because one day we were doing some yard work in the yard. We bought a brand new pair of scissors. All right, we're doing the yard work. We forget it outside on the dog kennel, and we come out the next day. The scissors are gone. Okay, so about two weeks later, we find hair, brownish red hair, in our yard, and it almost looks like it has been cut with scissors. Just laying in the yard. Well, Rachel picks it up. She didn't really think, you know, people said, oh, you could have it tested. And I think we could. But Rachel had touched it. So you see how that's been cut?
Yeah,
straight?
That's absolutely been cut.
So was that some kind of gag, I guess? You know, hey, we got your scissors and look, we cut our hair and we threw it over the fence. I mean, what is that about?
I don't know.
Hey,
you know, it's one of those things where you go, you know,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
they do what they do when they do it.
Hey, Daniela, former everything has a question. I would love to know the answer to this, because he says, and I don't know if you can bring it up or not, but he says they have way more land than we do. Millions of miles of forest in America alone. That's exactly right. Look, a quarter of a mile from me, you have the largest swamp in America. People don't know that. They think it's the Everglades in Florida. It's not. It's a quarter mile from my home. Now, if they wanted to, there's places in there man has never been, but I don't think that's where they're at. I think they're on the rim of the edges. And why are they coming? Do they want to interact with people, but not really? I mean, do they want to study us? Or that's the most interesting thing about it to me. I mean, are they trying to, you know, figure us out and see, hey, I don't think these people are dangerous. I know they can read intent, that's for sure. But I guess I'm trying to put it in a box, and you can't. I mean, you can't put it in a box because there's too many things going on. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, you know, if I had some of these answers, you know, it would make life a lot easier.
Yeah.
They, you know, even here in Arizona, you know, we've got, you know, we've got the Phoenix metropolitan area. I think we're pushing 5.5 million people, 4.5, somewhere in there. I don't know. Yeah, it's getting big. Tucson, Flagstaff, you know, those are the three major population areas in Arizona, with a whole lot of small towns. But we have a lot wilderness area. You know, right next to where I live is a Superstition Mountain wilderness area, home of the Lost Dutchman gold mine, and it's some of the worst terrain on the face of the planet. And I've been backpacking that since I was 12 years old. You know, I have the best trackway that I have ever found is about 9 miles north of my house at a place called the Salt River Recreation Area. You know, I went wandering around out there after, you know, because just out of curiosity because of some videos I seen from Robert Kreider, and I was like, well, you know, I know they can be in the desert. I've heard of reports of them in the desert. There's, you know, there's a lot of trees, water, mountains right next to it. You know, escape plans, da 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 da.
Mhm.
You know, it's tactically a sound place.
Yes.
Outside of all the human activity mostly during the summer, because everybody trying to get out of the 115, 120 degree heat, and they go float down this river. You know, so I went out there, and immediately, you know, I was blown out of the water that I was finding branch breaks up at the, you know, 12, 13 foot level. Now there's wild horses out there, you know, mountain lion, coyote, occasionally a bear will come down out of the mountains into that area. You know, but where these branch breaks were out of the way, that the wild horses, they'll kind of eat on some of these branches, and they'll kind of, you know, yank them down, and so they can get more of the leaves to chew on and that. But these breaks were just way too high for anything else. And you know, unless something like a pterodactyl is landing in the tree, you know, but you know, so I was finding, you know, this sign, and so I kept going out, and I kept going out, and you know, because it's during the winter months, I can't go to my normal locations because it's closed down, and you know, it's below zero, or you know, close to below zero up there, and I'm a desert rat. I don't want to be in that. You know, so I go wandering around out by the Salt River, and I found my first footprint out there, and I was like, okay, they're absolutely here. And so there's a part of the river that kind of makes like an island, but during the winter they're not releasing water out of the dam, so you can actually access it fairly easy. It's not really an island. But I went crawling around on my hands and knees through some stuff that I really shouldn't have, you know, because, you know, the rattlesnakes could have been, you know, prevalent, but, you know, I didn't run into any. And I come out into this opening, and there was these cool structures in there. And I was just like, this is amazing. And as soon as I was filming these structures, my GoPro went bleep, 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 and died. My GoPro had a full charge on it. You know, that, and I was just like, all right, you guys, you know, I get it. And then I started getting, you know, the not welcome feeling, or I need to leave.
Right.
And so I started crawling, you know, on my hands and knees through all this. And I mean, it's like bamboo and all kinds of stuff. And it just thicker than crap. And I got out to the other side, and I was meandering my way back over to my vehicle, and I looked down, and I went, huh. And, you know, and so I sat there for probably about 20 minutes doing an investigation, you know, taking out my tape measure. And that's one of the things I was going to recommend to you, you know, if you get footprints, try and find like one of those carpenter tape wooden rules that will expand and fold out, you know, so you can actually get the toes and the length all in one shot, you know, for a measurement. That's one of the things Chuck turned me on to, you know, that's what he used doing his investigations. And so I always have one with me when I'm out. But, you know, so I shot video of this trackway, you know, it's in kind of a compressed sand. The tracks had to bend probably 18 inches in length, and they were just one right after another, you know, like he was walking a tightrope.
No oscillation to them, all straight in a line.
Yep.
Like, like a runway model.
Yeah. So they can be, apparently they can be wherever they want to be.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna ask one more question, Danielle. I'm gonna let you take over. Okay.
So
okay. Let me ask this, because I know he might have experienced this before. So everything in nature, I keep saying, has a pattern.
Yes.
And if you watch something long enough, you're gonna pick up on that pattern. Like deer hunting, like fishing, like people, we have patterns. We do the same thing every day. Okay. I notice on our videos, we get that raw. But when we get it, there's usually a vehicle, not on the street behind us, but on the further street. It's almost like a signal, or a, hey, watch it, somebody's coming. I don't know if you've ever, that's just my opinion, because it's almost in correlation with that. I don't know if you've ever, like I said, you just said you did. So, I mean.
Oh, I could give you instance after instance after instance where stuff like that has happened. Yeah, they, if something's coming into the area and the whole family is there, somebody's gonna, somebody's gonna give an alert. Yeah, absolutely. That's more in the lines of diving into the common sense part of it. Hey guys, car coming.
Yes.
If you start looking at this, because a lot of this is the juveniles, the older ones, the elders, and that they're going to stay farther back. They're just like, yeah, we already know about these guys. I'm not going to worry about them. You guys want to go, just be careful because they're dangerous.
Yeah.
And so the younger ones, the rowdy teenagers, the curious 10-year-olds, those are the ones that are more likely to be encountered, with hearing these sounds. Give a good for instance. I was sitting up at camp. This was at Squatch Camp, and I know I had at least 6 of them around me, and this was during the day, because I was getting the whoops and the whistles, from all around me, and then one of them went kind of like that, and then everything went dead. I mean, it was like they weren't even around. Well, about, I don't know, a minute after that, here comes a Forest Service vehicle down this little 2-track road. About 15 minutes after it left.
Yeah.
And
hey man, you see what you're saying right here is just like the last show. I mean, it's 100% dead on. I mean, from our perspective, what we see and what we experience. I mean,
over and over.
We hear that whistle. So, you know what's weird about it? I told Rachel, I can't whistle like that. But the way I whistle is suck in. And that almost sounds like what they're doing. I don't know if they're imitating my whistle or that's just how they whistle.
It's kind of how they whistle, and I think Scott Nelson has verified this also, that they talk while they're breathing out and breathing in. Their vocal cords work both ways. And I firmly believe that, because a lot of these sounds I'm hearing, will go so much longer. And I mean, even, if you've got this massive lung capacity, sitting there, 1, 2, 3, and I'll sit there and count, you know, how long these sounds will go on, and I've had them go on for 2-3 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and it's like, well, you know, how can that happen? Well, we're thinking, you know, the average person that, you know, you're making this noise because you're breathing out, and that's how your vocal cords work. You can kind of make some sounds breathing in, but I think the way their vocal cords are, and they may have 2 sets of vocal cords. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But
actually, if you listen to one of the Sierra sounds, they sound like they're breathing it making a noise in and out, in and out.
Mm-hmm.
At one point.
So one of my questions on that would be, okay, they talk, you know how it almost sounds like they're talking is really, really fast. So if they're talking faster than us, how is their brain working? Is it working faster than ours? Because they seem to be outsmarting the hell out of us. Maybe they're that much ticked up more than we are, and they're in tune to things that we can't even fathom. I mean,
they're so far above us, it's not even funny.
Yes.
Yes. You know,
let me just go through some questions in the chat before they run out, and then we can come back to this. Nobody living in the apartment near the fence, is there?
Well, Leah has kind of she has her stuff there. You can say that. I mean, she's not really living there. She's spending her nights in other places. So
yeah. So it's a little apartment, isn't it? Is that what you mean, Lady in the Woods? Is it the shed at the bottom of what's the shed just right at the bottom? There's something. Yeah,
the shed's to the right.
Yeah, the shed straight ahead on the camera, and the little apartments to the left. But what's in the shed? Junk, just like everybody else. I mean, lawn chairs, you know, just tools, stuff like that. I mean, nothing special. I don't think anything that would draw them in for sure.
Yeah.
Here's an idea for you. Go outside your property at about, I don't know, 30 to 40 yards. And take if you have a GoPro or a portable video or even a cell phone with selfie sticks, I think is what they call them.
Mm-hmm.
Put your video up to the 8-foot level and see what the perspective is that they're seeing from their end, looking back towards your property. Because here we are, 6 foot tall, looking, going, wow, I wonder what they're looking at. Well, you got to get up to their level,
right?
As far as trying to, there might be something back there that at that particular spot they have a great vantage point. So,
Rachel, do you ever feel nervous or scared at home by yourself?
Not really, but I am starting to think that they are coming around during the day. I don't see anything, but just the reaction of Bella, she'll go to the fence and she'll either get so still mid-step and just look, or she'll start her howling like something scaring the heck out of her. Of course, I don't see anything. And my neighbor on this side of me is at the point where she hears Bella now and she asks, okay, what is she seeing? I'm like, I don't know.
Have you ever had a situation where either one of the dogs might have been sleeping outside of the house and you had a real difficult time getting them to wake up?
Well, that's kind of what happened when I found that. The night Tori, one of the big dog we had one night. It was eerie. She was quiet. We had Bella Spade, the little small German Shepherd. She was in the house, and I told Rachel, I said, Tori's not being herself. There's something wrong. So I said, I'm gonna go check on her. So I went. I just cracked the window, and she was just sleeping in a kennel. Almost looked like she was moping. And Rachel said, well, she might be missing Bella. I said, okay, that's it. The day after I came home to feed, that's when I found the footprint.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you say that. Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Here's the reason I say that, and because of so many experiences. How they do it, I don't know. I will say I don't believe it's infrasound because of some of the experiences we've had. But I had an incident where I was, my wife was in Iowa, so I had to bring my dog up with me. And, you know, we have a little min pin. And anybody who knows anything about a min pin, they're kind of like Chihuahuas. You know, at the slightest noise. And I had a pretty insane night of interactions, which we'll save that for an entire show, because that'll take an entire show. But the bottom line is in the morning when I woke up, it dawned on me that my dog never budged. And I was just like, that is not right. You know? That's way outside of the characteristics of this, you know, of my dog. And you know, I've had him knock me out. I've had him knock my grandson out, you know, to where he was kind of like a rag doll. And, you know, and my daughter-in-law was getting real concerned, going, is he okay? I said, no, he's okay. They put him to sleep. Yeah, he's okay. And I said, yeah, he's okay. You know, just go put him in the tent and, you know, lay him down for the night. And so my son and her were walking over to put her away, and she was getting really scared, you know, because I mean, he was like a rag doll. And my son says, if you guys are doing this, can you do something to let my wife know it's okay? My grandson goes, hi, mommy, and right back out, you know.
That's weird. You know, I don't know if you knew that I had an experience late one night of something sort of walking parallel with me. I was on a bridle path on a little road. This was obviously in a field. It was late at night. It was kind of flanking me all the way down this lane, growling, and not like any sheep or cow or anything we've got over here. I put it down to being a big cat, because we have lots of big cat sightings. We don't have any indigenous big, you know, we shouldn't have any wild big cats out here. But my dog's never picked up on any of that growling. I really questioned myself about that night, because I'm quite practical, you know, and I do think about things. And
well, they were probably doing it to where only you could hear it. As crazy as that sounds, they can do that.
Because my dogs can hear a leaf moving on the ground from inside the house, you know, that's sensitive to stuff. And they just carried on walking. I couldn't believe it. I was waiting for the moment. In fact, I didn't want to say anything to them or pull them on the leads, because I didn't want to project anything that I was feeling onto them, because I was worried, because I thought, what on earth is this? Just surprised me very much that none of them.
Yeah, there was one time Chuck and I were out, and it's happened more than once, but you know, we're sitting at camp and you know, just kind of having our own little conversation, and then I hear what sounds like two women talking, but it's just out of earshot that you can't make out what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, and I look over at Chuck and I go, you hear that, right? And he goes, no. I mean, he's got bad hearing, you know, to begin with, but it was loud enough. He should have heard it, because I mean, it was like they were 10 feet away from us. But
it's very digital. I mean, like we pick up on our recorder. I mean, it's really strange. It's almost like a digital, metallic digital. I mean, it's the. I mean, you know, like that. Or sometimes we get that might be the big boy, I call him. You know, that. I mean, you know, I don't know. You know, you seen
well, if you want to, I've got some of the audio clips on SoundCloud under my name, Kevin Keeney. Last name's Kehne. You know, so if you go to SoundCloud, I've got some of the audio clips on there of them speaking. And I've even got them speaking English, you know,
yes.
And, you know, one of them, I'm not saying this is what they said, but you know, it was a female, and it goes back to this incident I had inside my tent, but you can hear in a whisper, but a female voice, and it sounded like, "I'm working Kevin." And when I found that, I was just floored. The most recent thing I've recorded them saying, I'm calling it Pennsylvania. I don't think they're saying Pennsylvania. I don't know why they would be telling me Pennsylvania. I think it was just something that they were saying, and being that we are who we are, that we try to interpret, figure out what's being said, and we match it as close to words that we know, and so it sounds like Pennsylvania, but inside where Pennsylvania, it's got, like you're talking about, this metallic
dissonance to it.
Yeah,
I've got it here, Kevin. I've actually got it here.
Okay.
I don't know if people can hear that.
Yeah. We can play you hours of that also.
Yeah.
I mean, just so that's when when you were on last week, like I almost blew a gasket because I was telling Rachel, man, this guy is on it big time. I mean, everything he's saying is matching up almost to the T. I mean, now have you ever? I don't know about there, but here, not only do they speak English, we hear them speaking French, which is the native language here.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're gonna speak what they hear.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been around for a long time, and they've been observing us for a long time. So yes, they're here in Arizona, some of the stuff that Chuck has told me about is people have heard them speaking Spanish. They hear some Apache words, sometimes some Navajo words. Some of the stuff that I recorded, like that first one where it sounds like Hick-Tu Sioux, it definitely sounds like Native American. So, the first thing I did is I called a friend of mine who's Navajo, and I asked him, and he goes, "No, that it sounds native, but it's nothing in our language." So then I called a friend of mine who lives on the San Carlos Indian Reservation, which is the Apache Indian, and I asked him, and he goes, "No, that's nothing in our language." And so whatever dialects, as far as English, Spanish, French, if they're around a German corridor, yeah, they're gonna pick up on the German words. I mean, it's as simple as I'm gonna go have a burrito. Well, a burrito is not American. It's not English. That's Spanish. But being that we don't have a word in English for that food item, we just call it what the Spanish call it, and that's a burrito. And so then it becomes natural part of our language, and it's going to be the same way with them.
I've got a whistle here that we're trying to find. Rachel's trying to find it. It's the weirdest thing. And there's two guys on here who have heard this whistle before, actually, in a couple of different places. One of them's Andy's gone fishing. It's a four-bore whistle. It sounds like it's music notes, like E-A-D-G. Because I play guitar. That's what it sounds like if you'd play it on a guitar. Mm-hmm. I've played it for Daniela. I played it, and Andy's on here. Like I said, he's heard it fishing in the middle of the.
Which one's it called? Loud Whistle 110.
What's that?
What's it called? The video.
Strange whistle. Strange whistling.
It might be strange whistling. On our video, I think that's what I named it because we have so many whistling. It's
whistles.
Yeah, but it's you when you hear it, it's like a little four-bore whistle.
There's another one, loud whistle at 110.
It might be loud whistle at 110.
Should we try that?
Try that and see if that's.
Try this one. Because we're so organized tonight, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I know. Hey, making history.
Here we go. I'll put it to 110.
I don't think that's it. Well, that was a whistle, but that's not the one because you could hear the dog react. But no, this is. Is there another one with a strange? Maybe try it out. Strange whistling. I want them to hear this because there's two other guys who confirmed this, that they heard the exact same thing. And what is it? Bigfoot Evidence has it recorded, and they recorded it in Missouri. I mean, so it's crazy. There's nobody walking around, crazy person walking around in the woods or in my backyard doing this whistle. It's like I said, like a 4-bore whistle. It's like EADG. It's crazy. It's almost like a signal.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, maybe try another strange whistle. I'm not sure where it's at, but Andy is in the chat. He's the one who told me he was in the middle, pretty much in the middle of Chaffalaya Basin, and he hears this whistle. Now that wasn't a person whistling. Now possibly could be an animal, but I don't think there's an animal that whistles like that. I mean, Rachel's going to try to find it. And
we've even heard music, and and this was at Squatch Camp, and this particular trip we were out there that we were hearing the music. There's only one road into this particular area, and we're about a mile in. And the closest place to camp outside of where this road is probably about 5 to 8 miles away. And so there's absolutely nobody out there. And it's like 8:30 at night, and we start hearing music, coming from deeper in the forest. Yeah, it's just like, you hear that? And he goes, yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
Happy. Rachel's found it.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, we're gonna have to send it to Daniela, and she's gonna have to play it because we can't play it on this.
It's called Another Strange Whistle. Daniela started at 1 minute.
Another Strange Whistle. Is it the 8th? 24. Oh, hang on. You sent me it. Yeah, I've got it. Hang on.
Yeah, let's check this out.
One second. Sorry.
Started at a minute.
Okay. At a minute.
Yep.
Oh.
Started at a minute?
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
You heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there more of that? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. It just does it one time. Just but you heard it sounds like a 4-bore whistle, and it sounds like EADG.
Yeah.
Now, what human whistles like that? I mean,
nobody.
In the middle of the night, 2:30, whatever, 3:30, whatever it was. I mean, I'm just gonna go out and whistle EADG. Because it sounds like a good idea to do. I mean, come on, man. I mean, what is that? And then I got 2 other guys from Louisiana, same state, saying, "Hey, we've heard the same thing." One was fishing. One was said they basically got ran out by a couple of them, you know. So, you know, people want evidence. The evidence is here. You just have to just open your eyes and just open your mind. And, you know, the evidence is here. Don't, you know, people want pictures. All right. Pictures, pictures are only one part of a story. I mean,
yeah. You know, here's the problem with the people who want evidence. You can put all the evidence in front of them, you know, all the physical evidence in front of them that you can, and they're still gonna, you know, they're still not gonna believe. You know, my best friend, you know, he's just like, you know, when this first started happening, he's like, yeah, whatever. And, you know, so I had him come out, and you know, his first night out was actually pretty intense. You know, for a first experience, you know, there's I can tell you that there are old school researchers out there that have not experienced what my best friend got to experience that first night. And he was like, well, how come they don't find bodies? How come this? And I said, look, Scott, you know, put all that stuff in a box. You know, well, the only thing we're going to talk about is what you experienced last night, the physical evidence I was able to show you in the morning, you know, branch break, footprints. And so it was kind of, you know, still in that, nah, I don't buy it. You know, it might have been something else. And what it took was another trip out for my 50th birthday party. Him and I went up, then he went back down, 2.5 hour drive back down to the valley to pick up another friend of ours to bring him back up. And he wanted me to make sure that the sausage was thawed out, because our buddy that was coming up, he loves to cook, and biscuits and gravy in the morning and all that. And it was a really wet trip, really bad monsoon thunderstorms, and I'd gotten a break in the day, and so I went out for a walk, and I got chased back to camp by a thunderstorm, and I went, oh crap, I forgot to check the sausage. So I opened up the ice chest, and you know, the bag with all the meats right there, sausage and bacon and hamburger, and you know, the brats, and you know, just all the meat was in this bag. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it looks odd to me, and I closed it and went about my business. Well, you know, they got up there, and you know, we had our fire and smoking cigars, and next morning, I got up a little later than they did, because I stayed up later. But they go, where'd you put the sausage? Touch the sausage. I opened up the ice chest. It's right there in the bag. Oh, come on, where'd you put the sausage? I said, dude, I didn't touch the sausage. And so we were moving everything out of different ice chests, and you know, and they go, well, it might have been a bear. And I go, nah, you know, well, because I started laughing. I said, I know what happened to it. And they go, oh yeah, right, Bigfoot got it. And I said, yeah. And they go, well, it was probably a bear. And I said, well, first off, if you ever seen a bear get into somebody's sled out ice chest, everything would be scattered. There wouldn't be any meat. You know, same thing with coyotes and wolves. They would have taken all of it. Not just the sausage we were going to have the next morning.
Well, no, and they're not going to come in the backyard, open up a Rubbermaid where you have to open up, you have to pull the handle, click the handle, open it up, take the dog food out, completely shut it, and leave. The bear is going to destroy the damn thing. You're going to have dog food in plastic. A coyote, same thing. Raccoon. I mean, they're pretty smart. They're pretty slick, but I don't think a raccoon could eat 50 pounds of dog food in 2 days. If I do, I mean, if he did, I want to see him, because he probably weighs 800 pounds. Look, this lady, Marla Chapman, I don't know if you can bring, it's more of a statement than it is a question, but
I want to just put this one up first, because I really agree with this. Paradox, fossils, artifacts, and coins. The best evidence is personal experience.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and one of the points I was going to make to that, you know, when I was talking about, you know, the people who want all this experience, you know, and scientific data and scientific information, you know, what is an eyewitness testimony worth? And, you know, so you start digging into that. You know, you can put somebody in prison for their, you know, for the rest of their life, or, you know, there's people who have been given the death sentence. You know, other countries, you know, you can be killed on the eyewitness of 2 or 3 you know, with 2 or 3 eyewitness testimonies. You know, so if that's enough evidence in a court of law, whether the United States or other countries, to have somebody put to death, even when forensic evidence says otherwise, but people go with, well, I saw you do it, I saw you do it, and I saw you do it. Well, that's good enough for the jury. The jury's out. Jury comes back and says guilty.
Exactly.
You know, so why it's so different with this community? Well, I shouldn't even say the community, with people in general, is just it blows my mind.
Well, look, this is a way, and I'm probably gonna make some people mad here, but look, hey, this is my opinion, only my opinion. You've got thousands of years of cave drawings, okay? You have stories, accounts, legit people. I mean, not just some goofball who's trying to make $1 off of YouTube. You got legit people who are seeing these things on one hand. The second hand, you have a book that's written. Nobody's come to say they've seen this guy, okay? There's no reports. Hey, I've seen this guy, or people are looking for him. You know what one is? Bigfoot. Can you guess what the other one is?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's carry on. When was the last time you got a call and somebody said, hey, I saw Jesus. Can you come check this out? But you hear people say they see Bigfoots and go look in these caves, and everybody has one. You know, every culture has one. So why, if God made us, why couldn't he make them?
Well, and that's kind of leaning towards the hypothesis that I'm running with, is that, you know, we were created, you know, all the history that we have, you know, shows us, you know, our written history, you know, ancient prophetic texts, all that stuff. It's just our history. Somebody else is here. They have another history too. You know, one of the things that I'm leaning towards, and it could change at any given moment, but that, you know, how in the Garden of Eden we fell. I don't think they did.
No, I think Andy Gone Fishing right here has it exactly right. They were on Noah's boat. If you want to go with that theory, they were on Noah's boat.
I believe it.
Yep.
I mean, finding one's hard enough. How did he get 2 on? That's my
exactly. Well, if he made them, he could control them pretty easy. And like I asked you the other day, you know, if you want to go with the ARC theory, how many breeds of dogs are there? But you test every dog, and there's wolf DNA in every breed of dog. So did he take 2 wolves over, and that's an offshoot? All these other dogs are offshoot of wolves, which I think they are. I mean,
well, that's a lot easier for me to believe than they came from a rock. So,
you know, hey,
but you know, you and I, you know, once the show's over with, I'll actually give you my phone number, and you know, we'll communicate. Yeah.
right.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go back to some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any orbs in the yard, anything like that?
A lot, yeah.
Go ahead. Rachel's the orb girl.
Look, from get-go, look, I didn't want to do the Bigfoot Odyssey episode. I didn't want to sound like the crazy person. I didn't want people in my town finding out what's going on. And I always, and still to today, when we have something, I try to explain it that it's something logical. And I'm at the point now I can't. The orbs, you know, from, you know, Carrie didn't like the orbs or whatever. He was like, if that's the route y'all going, you know, more power to you. And I'm like, it is what it is. Yeah. We have a camera and we're catching what we're catching. We can't help what
Yeah, and that's just it. Like Chuck was saying last week, you can't unsee what you've seen.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't unexperience what you've experienced. And you start getting enough of these experiences, like, okay, well, if I only saw an orb, then that could be written off as something else. Or if I only found a footprint, okay, well, whatever. Or if I only heard a wood knock, or if this, or only this. But when you start having so many things happening over and over and over again, and what science, testable and repeatable, I can put this to the test, and it is repeatable. I've had, I don't know how many people go out with me, and the first thing I tell them is, I can't promise you anything's going to happen. But
Exactly.
what I can promise you is every time I go out, something happens.
Well, and I think you're right. I think it depends on the person, because I have a real good friend of mine who's a paranormal investigator, and she wants to come do, which I'm fine with it. Come, do your investigation. She was going to come in December, but she had to cancel. But I mean, I told her, I said, look, you might come, and she wants to sleep in the yard. I said, that's fine. You can do what you want. I'm not sleeping in the yard, but you can do whatever you want. And, I said, something might happen. Something might not happen. I don't know. They might not. I think it's a person. Then again, they might be drawn to her because the story I told about her picking up on my dad. So she may be able to communicate with him. I have no idea. She just has to come and see, and see what happens.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that any interaction that you have is by their choice. They're in charge. They're in charge of all this. So if you hear a knock, that's because they wanted you to hear it.
Right.
Chance encounters happen. Where people say, "Yeah, I saw one running across the road." Well, was that just a chance encounter, or did he want to be seen? And I'm under the opinion that there are no chance encounters, that they make themselves known to who they want to, when they want to, and how they want to.
Yes.
They're that far above us that they do that.
I think I told you earlier, the one I did see actually physically running that day, by chance, went to the doctor's appointment, got off of work early, went to the doctor's appointment. There was a wreck, had to come a different route. And if I would have went my regular route, I'd have never saw it. So it gets to be where you really gotta, like I said, people try to put them in a box, and you can't. No. You better have a big box, bigger than the ark, because you got a lot of stuff you're gonna have to put in that box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so much of what I've experienced, I can't even begin to put words to it. It's just incredible stuff. And there's so much more in life I could be doing. I'm retired, medically, but I'm retired. And, there's a lot of things I could be doing other than spending 5,000 hours, or just, I think I'm 4,982 hours if I tally it up that way. So I'm just under 5,000 hours out in the field. I've got a beautiful wife. All my kids and all my grandkids, live around here. There's a lot of other things I could be doing. But this is what I choose to do, because I enjoy these encounters. I enjoy these experiences. The stuff that I'm learning is just mind-boggling. And, the big part about it is, Chuck and I have said over and over again, how do you explain this to somebody, that isn't here experiencing this? It's like, you can try and put it into words, the best way you can, but, to get the full sense of exactly what's going on,
Well, I don't think we had the vocabulary to explain it. I mean,
no, we don't.
People ask me all the time, I'm like, man, I can't explain it. I mean, look, maybe 100 years from now we might, but not now.
Are they wanting you to interact with them, Kevin? Is that why you're spending, you want him, is it because you want him to spend time, or do you think they're drawing you to them?
There's times that, you know, I've been at home and it's like, you need to come up and see us. You know, that I get that. Come up. It's like, all right, I'm going up. You know, and you know, thank God I have the wife that I have. You know, July will be 31 years we've been married. You know, that, you know, she's like, you know, all right, go. You know, she knows what this means to me. She's been up there and got to experience some of this stuff, and you know, I have the time, I have the means to be able to go and do it, and so I do. But to answer your question, Daniela, it's I want to know who they are. I want to learn from them. There's something about them that we have a lot to learn from. The way they treat each other, the way, you know, interact with each other, the love that they have for their families, you know, and for the different family groups. You know, this is what my experiences are, and they're very proud. You know, like the one I call Indy, he's very proud of his family, and I actually just recently got introduced to his daughter, who we believe is like, you know, the equivalent of an 18-year-old, but her name is Raiki. I got introduced to her. I don't know, not my last trip, probably the second to last trip I was out. You know, that was a very, very special moment. You know, let me dive back into something. You know, on the show, I was talking about the rattlesnake, and I had, you know, as soon as I turned off the video recorder on my phone, I got and it was Indy, is the one who, what it sounded like he said was, "What do you want?" But it was, "What do you want?" And I mean, just massive. And, you know, so, you know, after that had happened and I was walking back to camp, the part I left out during last week's show was, you know, I was pretty nervous. You know, I'm by myself out in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, now I've got this massive thing that is following me, you know, paralleling me back to camp. And so I start talking to him. And I don't know why I started talking to him, but I was like, I have a mate. Do you have a mate? I have offspring. Do you have offspring? You know, I was kind of wanting to let him know that, you know, there's people that love me, you know, that would miss me if he was going to, you know, do something harmful to me. And, you know, so I was talking to him like this, got back to camp that night. I had, you know, there's kind of a difference between a dream and a vision. You know, dreams are kind of off the wall and nothing really makes sense in them. You know, it's like you're trying to make a right-hand turn and you can't, or, you know, you wake up, you really can't remember what the dream is. And then when you have these visions, you know, it's in living color. You can remember every single detail of what's going on. And that's what this was. It was that night, and I was standing outside my tent, and Indy walked up to me, and he said, "I am Jagengun." You know, I call him Indy because the name's pretty hard to pronounce. It's kind of a tongue twister. And he was, "And this is my mate." And he's pointing over towards this large tree. And I see this female, you know, she's kind of leaning out, looking at me, but she's got this look of deep concern in her face. And he's like, "He's okay. It's okay. Come out." And, you know, so it took him a couple of minutes to get her to come out from behind this tree. Well, when she came out from behind the tree, I immediately knew why she was so concerned and didn't want to come out. She was holding like a 1-year-old in her arms. And her name is the same as his, but a female version. So his is Eagengun, hers is Eagengen. You know, so I don't know if there's, you know, like a surname with that. I have no idea how that works. But he was letting me know how proud he was of his mate and his offspring, which was just the infant that was there. I don't recall, that any of the other family was there at that point in time, but there's 8 in that family group.
Yeah. I'm sure they're proud of their kids, just like we are our kids and grandkids. I mean, I don't think they have pictures, but I'm sure they love them just as much as we do and doesn't want to see. That's why I think they react so negatively if you shoot at one, or try. I would say never try to shoot at one. I mean, or never raise a gun. Just go listen to Mike Woolley's story. I mean, if that's not enough to scare the hell out of you, I mean,
yeah. There was a story that Chuck told me, and I think it was occurred, I don't know, in the probably 1930s or maybe earlier than that. 2 guys and a gal were out deer hunting, and and it was, I don't know if it was Tennessee or it's somewhere back on central part of the country, or maybe East Coast or the Northeast. But the guy and his girlfriend or his wife, whoever it was, were kind of farther behind the guy that was in the lead. And as how Chuck told the story, is that a female either fell or jumped out of the tree right in front of the front guy. And just out of reaction, he raises his rifle and poof, pulls the trigger, and and this female drops. Well, come out of the bushes was her mate. And I mean, just from how the story went, it took about 2 steps, grabbed him by the shoulder, by the head, popped his head off.
Yes.
And then it turned and looked at the 2 of them. They took off running, and he knew he wasn't going to be able to outrun them. And so he turned around, squared off to him, put the rifle out, dropped it to the ground, and he comes up, just stands over him, and then turns around, grabs the female over her shoulder, takes off, and goes straight up a cliff with her. The guy and the gal went back, made a report with the sheriff. Sheriff went out, and they did their investigation, and they came back and said, yeah, it was a bear.
Yeah, hell of a bear, huh?
Yeah, so whether that's true or not, I have no idea. It sounds feasible to me. I just don't know. But an interesting story, and and that was one of the first ones Chuck told me, and I was like, yeah, well, no firearms, it's
no.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm I won't say I'm completely unarmed when I'm out, but I have nothing more than a knife with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's so much more to talk about, but we're coming up to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you: Have you ever had any mind speak or been zapped or anything like that?
The only thing I came close, and to be honest, I've never really given them a chance, because when it gets dark outside, I usually don't go in my backyard. Mm-hmm. I'm not even kidding. Just because I'm scared of them. I have no way to defend myself from them. But that instance I told you, when I was laying in bed and I heard that metallic whistling, I think maybe they were trying to communicate with me and get me outside. And when I was, sit here and, I'd get the wind almost feel like it was blowing and the tingling in my head. And when the thing was yelling and I was standing up at the window, I mean, I don't know I've never heard anything in my head like, hey, come outside, or, hey, my name's, whatever. But like I said, I've never really given an opportunity. I've never gone in the backyard too much. And that's the scary part to me, man. How many times and if they wanted to kill me, they would have killed me a long time ago. I mean, so if people ask, well, how do you sleep? Well, normal is normal, I mean, and when you get so tired, I mean, I've stayed awake sometimes almost all night just watching the camera, freaking myself out, not everything is Bigfoot. I mean, so, and if they wanted to do us harm, they would have did it a long time ago. So that's the way I feel about it.
Well, try this, you know, just as a suggestion. Let them know, you know, next time you know they're around out there, you know, introduce yourself and tell them, I'm afraid, but I don't know if I need to be afraid. Is there something you can do to let me know if I need to be afraid or not? And see what happens. See what happens.
Okay. I'll try it.
Here's a good question. Do you feel spirituality has changed, developed, or evolved?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
To be honest, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I mean, mine's about the same. I mean, I don't. On spirituality, yeah, it's about the same. It's about the same, you know. But I think there's some stuff we don't understand. But I don't know if that the two and two go hand in hand. I don't know. It might be something totally different. I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Right.
It has greatly enhanced my spirituality. You know, I stated on last week, you know, I'm born again Christian. I'm very devout in my faith and my belief and my studies, and you know, this has just enhanced it on, you know, to a level that I can't even explain. You know, there's times that I'm out there that I sit and read scripture to them, and you know, and it's just such a positive energy that, you know, that comes back to me of all this love, and you know, and these you know, these feelings that I get, you know, they're physical feelings and emotional feelings that they're broadcasting onto me, that, you know, not only has it increased my spirituality, but it's increased the way I love my wife and my children. It's increased the respect that I have for all life. You know, I'd stated I was an avid hunter. I won't hunt unless I have to. You know, if you know, society collapses and grocery stores and, you know, all that stuff is gone. Yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get food. You know, that's all there is to that.
Well,
but you know, the basically it's just, you know, it's taken what love I had in me and increased it 100-fold.
well, you know, and I wouldn't say so much spiritually. It's just turned our world upside down, especially mine. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it affects Rachel as bad as it does me. But I mean, you know, my mind's racing 1,000 miles an hour trying to figure out what these things are, what do they want, where do they come from? I mean, just question after question after question after question after question. And like I said, you can't put them in a box, man. I mean, it's just like, you know, trying to figure out the meaning of life. I mean, you just don't think you can do it.
Well, anybody who has any type of these kind of experiences and they say it hasn't changed their life, they're either lying that it hasn't changed their life, or they're lying about the experience.
You got it 150%, partner. If they say it hasn't changed their life or it doesn't bother them, you better look a little closer, because it does. Just ask anybody who's seen one. I mean, you get obsessed with it. I mean,
well, look, guys, we've come to 2 hours, and I think we've done all right tonight.
Oh yeah,
we could go another round, but let's leave it for another night, because I think we've talked about a lot, you know. And thanks for coming on, Kevin. It's been good to have that interaction as well with you. If you want to come on the show, if anyone out there wants to come on the show, there's a couple of people in the chat tonight talking about their experiences. If you want to come on and share that with me and us, then drop me an email. My address is in the bottom of the description there. Thanks to everyone who's watched and subbed and liked, and I've been a bit overwhelmed, and like there's been like 110 people in the chat tonight, so that's pretty awesome. So thank you to everyone. I'm back here again. I'm back on the Researchers Report tomorrow night with Kerry over at BIGFOOT ODYSSEY. And then I'm back on here, Hidden Existence, on Sunday night with Bigfoot Whisperers Hub, who's going to share her encounter of being abducted at 5 years old by something not of this world, she says. So that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that should be.
Everyone. Thanks, Carl Rachel.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Happy
thanks.
Valentine's, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
See you all soon. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
All right.